publication came out by Lancet, a British journal, in 2019 that about 1.2 million people died only in 2019. And that is only direct resistance to antimicrobials. But the indirect cost through antimicrobials was 4 million people. So you can just see that the people who died in 2019 alone was half the population of Qatar, where the football is taking place now. You yourself know that currently the scenario is 2x. Okay, the world population currently is about 8 million. So if it's 8 million, it means that people need to eat food. But if they have to eat food, what do we need to do? For example, if you look at India, for example, that's a population of 1.4 billion. Can you imagine the number? China, 1.2 billion. While Africa is also 1.2 million. But as at 2021, we are now 31.7 million. So it means that there's a need to grow more food, large-scale farming, intensive livestock production, and all this one must come with cost. And the cost in it is that there's large use of antimicrobials. And if there's large use of antimicrobials, and yet we are crying that we want safer food for Ghanaians, that will happen. So we want to go through what we want to do today so that you see. In view of this that I mentioned, there was a plan by WHO, FU, and OIS that were organized for animal health to make sure that they drew up a global action plan, which they forced all 182 nations of the United Nations also to draw up their own plan. And I can tell you that Ghana was one of the first countries in Sub-Saharan Africa, apart from South Africa and Egypt, draw up a national plan. And we have a national policy now, which was launched by President COFAG. 17th, the aim of this national awareness and understanding of antimicrobial. Tell us what COFAG is doing today to Ghanaians and its members. And what is the second one? It is strengthening knowledge and evidence-based alternative surveillance and research. It is also taking place currently in laboratories such as National Laboratory and Veterinary Services. Then to reduce incidents through effective sanitation, hygiene and infection prevention, such as biosecurity and good agricultural practices, which your members will know. And then the fifth one is that the fourth one is that to optimize the use of antimicrobials in aquaculture, plants, animals, and under this COFAG members will know that it is this area that we are organizing this day today. Why? Because it is tell your people the responsible use of antimicrobials, especially veterinary drugs, and irregular practice by veterinarians, so that you also are aware. Farmer-based organizations in Ghana, the FBUs, the poultry sector, business sector, aquaculture. And these are also the ones that use most of the antibiotics that we have. About 80% of all antibiotics in the world. It's estimated that farms have continued using antibiotics. For example, you yourself know that the poultry industry, the fish industry, the pig industry in Ghana have suffered a lot of disease. If you look at the influenza that came first in 2007, Ghana lost about 34.736 birds. And in 2015, Ghana lost about 96.35 birds. In 2016, Ghana lost about 146.085 birds. 2018, 12,175 birds. And that's 2021. We lost about 133,440 birds. So you can see the devastating effect on the industry. And all this one is accompanied by increased use of antibiotics, because most of these farmers, before they contacted veterinary services, I'm sure they tried all sorts of antibiotics before they came to us. And also in the pig industry, we had outbreak of African swine fever that has killed almost all pigs in Western region, Elembele area, then Ashanti region, Asim Fosu. All these ones are part of what we are talking about today. Because if the people don't see the vet around, they'll start using antibiotics. And also, you were witnesses of the fish kill that happened around the coast of Ghana last 2 years. You realize that the Vibrio species, Vibrio halactus, and although they kill most of our fishes around the coast. In this slide, the average group, imagine that the antibiotics that are used by yes. Am I moving fast? I'm mentioning this for members of COFAG to appreciate the need for enhanced collaboration between your members and veterinary services. Of the use of antimicrobials. Of Farmers Ghana, veterinary officers and serve as champions in monitoring the use of antimicrobial agents agri-food production and will avoid over-reliance on unprofessional advice by other farmers. So it is one of the main reasons why we are meeting today. I cannot conclude this presentation without mentioning the power of the Ghana. I don't know whether you got me. Can I go back? I'm saying that I cannot fathom that even by the year they were drafted the 1992 Constitution. In the 1992 Constitution, in the 1992 Constitution, Article 75 specifically talk about food and vegetables and how agrochemicals are being misused. So at least we have something in our Constitution that tells us that we need to be very careful the way antimicrobials are used. But all of you, members of COFAG, understand the drivers of antimicrobial resistance. We should know, even though you know them, let me just mention the few. It is the indiscriminate use of antimicrobial that brings about the resistance. It is easy access to antimicrobial. Some of the people just so look at FDA and veterinary services. They said they want to regulate veterinary drugs. How can you regulate something you don't use to practice? All this cause misperception about the public and that they misuse these antibiotics without care. And then also, most farmers don't adhere to withdrawal period of their antibiotics, the veterinary drugs that are using. And then we are not also mainstreaming our ministry. For example, Minister of Fisheries Aquaculture is supposed to be part of the Ministry of Food and Aquaculture. To know that the veterinary and fisheries are sent from the veterinary service department and they are being paid. So we are thinking that currently this is what we are doing, the awareness creation. After our assessment of our National Action Plan 2017 to 2022, the 5-year plan, we have realized that only 38% of Ghanaians understand this antimicrobial resistance. But the evidence-based laboratory, so what we can ask in ourselves is that what can we do as so, yes. So I can give you typical examples of what we have realized from our WHO. We collected bears and then we tested them and we realized that most of the bears were resistant to it. And the Fleming found that Grand came to Ghana 2019 up to 2021. We went to Ashanti region, Northern region, and Central region, and did a lot of surveys and realized the resistance of pathogens that we are eating in our food. So in this sense, I would like us to bring our minds here together. What can we do to strategically change the issue? In fact, one of the main things I'm thinking is that we can also look at alternatives of antibiotic use coming. And then some people are also looking into increasing biosecurity and improve on vaccinations of their livestock and poultry and fish. But the good is that the fishes in aquaculture, you don't use antibiotics only when it is the fingerlings that you are doing. That's the only place they use, but than the rest of the animal sector. So one of the main things I want to there are a lot of antibiotics. And why do we want to collaborate with COFAG members? The antibiotics that are in use, 8 classes of antibiotics that people have to use on their farms. And some of them, you have to know their action. What do they act? Do they act on the bacteria itself? Do they act on the nucleus? Do they act on the membrane? Do they act on the... And some of them don't kill. They just paralyze the bacteria, but the bacteria is still alive. They can cause disease in your farm. So because of this, when there's strong collaboration between veterinary services and COFAG members and all farmers in the country at that matter, there will be improvement in understanding the various classes that are there. For example, if it is beta-lactam penicillin you are using, like amoxicillin, and then also if it is aminoglycosides like gentamicin, citomycin, ribomycin, you know. If it is chloramphenicol group, you can also know. So these are fluoroquine, mucomycin, macrolide. Because one of the main things that has even helped this country is during the H1N1 outbreak, use a macrolide, which is called azithromycin. That helps the disease in human beings. But that doesn't mean that we should always jump into using antibiotics when we have not done a laboratory test, scientific test. So now the Minister of Food and Agriculture has established a national food laboratory in Veterinary Services, which is responsible for testing all products of animal origin, live-based market, also slaughterhouse meat, all that to know the level of resistance of resistant pathogens that we have in them. And secondly, to be able to know the residue levels. So now these residues, most of you produce eggs, you produce meat. If the withdrawal period, the birds are sick and you use the antibiotics on them, you cannot say that you are not going to sell your birds, but there's no way you can stop selling the birds. The birds and the eggs. So all this we are consuming them. So it is not assumed that almost every Ghanaian is eating antibiotics, whether we like it or not, because of the way production system are handled. Because if you are a businessman, you cannot produce your eggs and then they will tell them, go antimicrobial resistant, you throw away the eggs because you are using antibiotics to treat them, especially when the withdrawal period has not reached. So all these are things that I think COFAG members, you have done very well for putting your members together. Even though I went very fast, it's just a small introduction to know how we can all work together and make sure that the aim of this workshop or webinar is achieved. So in case you have some questions, you can ask and I can elaborate more. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hello, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Let's start brilliant and succinct presentation for approximately 20 minutes. That is a lot of information. So if anybody has questions, comments, they can make it and then give Benjamin the opportunity to also present. Please put on. So Doc, you still have the floor. Those who have questions will ask questions, then we'll see.
Emmanuel from Ireland want to ask a question. Emmanuel from Ireland want to ask a
presentation. And what I've taken note, you repeatedly stated. Yes. You repeated for us various actions that have to be taken. Nation, I've taken note of that. We'll work on those ones. You've also told specifically what COFAG matters are very important. And then you concluded by making a call. It's actually the theme for this year's celebration, which is preventing AMR together. So we will also respond to that call. But maybe my question to that is, what do you think we have to do? Because as you know, most sectors and groups, although vital, are left out. What do we have to do to be and not wait to be reached by you making policy and leading these things? Of course, you mentioned that we should advocate government, which is one of the things we can work on. But what do you think we have to do on our side? And what else do you have to do so working together, bottom up things we have to do?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Godfrey, for the question. I think that there's a lot COFAG members can do because looking at the caliber of your people, you people are like an NGO. So it's when you talk maybe on fora and then maybe on radio, on TV, and let government understand that they need to invest in laboratory capacities and also make sure that whoever wants to do something can come to veterinary with samples for them to test. Then secondly, we need to collaborate by organizing some few workshops. Sometimes government does not support. And also, you are also businessmen. You cannot always leave your business and be attending workshop. But once in a while, it can happen in a year. Because I remember formerly, Gaffer people, when the animals were dying, the birds and all that, they tried to raise alarm. And do you imagine that 2016, the government data released about 11 million to pay them. So which means that if you people are very united and you involve yourself in some of these activities, let them you cry and why it's that even with the help of the veterinary, they can justify why government needs to pay certification, a compensation. So these are just some of the few things I can think about. And also, sorry to say that one of the problems I realized that there are some of them who are being advising others on what to do. The drugs are different. So even you may use it on your farm and go your bicycle. So that we can give the best advice so that you don't lose because the business.
On this issue of trading, for example, can we and you partner together, because government doesn't always bring the financing, partner together and look for joint money to do some follow-up activities, for example?
Yes. I think that you are the president or general secretary. I think if you approach FAO Ghana office, FAO Ghana, to do this because they have realized that the antimicrobial that they are using.
Hello.
You can go to the WHO office. It's also at risk. So if you also go to them, because there are funds meant for this kind of thing to be done. Only that because you may not be aware. So if you go to them to the isolated for the markets that they did in Kumasi, now in Accra, the project is turned to Kumasi. What you have seen is that your members need some more education and you are approaching them because the FAO has actually helped Dama from the bottom top approach that you have said with improving biosecurity and no user antibiotics, and they found that it helped them. So these are some of the places you can actually get support. And there's also the Minister of Food and Agriculture. You can also approach the minister and tell them, in fact, you realize that your members, this is what they are doing. Because if they will not give us, you want to take the initiative, they will support you. I think that we're funding, these are WHO, FAO, and then the ministry.
Okay, thank you very much.
Emmanuel from Ireland had a question. Emmanuel from Ireland is having a question. Emmanuel, you can put on your microphone.
Very much for the opportunity, and then thank you, Kikimoto, for such a brilliant short presentation. I want to find out from Dr. Kikimoto, how are we controlling the use of antibiotics on our livestock and then even birds? Is it the fact that they are prescribed before they are used, or we use them as at when they are needed? And then products that can be used like probiotics, are they available? And again, who determines?
Because people are already used to this antibiotics, it's very difficult for them to move away from them to go into the probiotics use. But I know that there are some people who have started trying them to see whether it works or not. And then also, as I was saying, like if you look at in India, ethno-veterinary is playing a very big role because they have decided they're dairy cattle. You see, we are not yet in that level.
And since we participated from Ghana, we also followed what Dr. Mata Jansa Luchot and then Dr. Jofat, and then Dr. Baruch, your group, and then with the Ghana Health Service, and then the Ministry of Health. You did a marvelous job for that. So I will say that since I gave my report on our FEG Zoom, I said this is the time we have to advocate to COFAG members, since we have a lot of members, like about 1 million plus, and then we have most people who are into livestock, because we emphasize much on livestock. Since we use these animals as food, one way or the other, human beings might think we are not using antibiotics, but since it has been administered to the animals, it also affects humans. And one thing that they also mentioned is since we are using these antibiotics, whether for animals or human, it has become a competition. So humans and animals are competing for these antibiotics, of which we have to draw a clear line on as to how animals are being treated with antibiotics and how human beings also are being treated with antibiotics. These are some of the basic things that we discussed over there. And as a matter of fact, since it was my first time of joining the conference, in fact, I had to sit back and then follow what people are saying and what the WHO and other organizations, and more especially from the Zambian people, their Greek sector, and then from the health, their perspective of how this AMR is going to help in administering it. What I'll also say again is what we are doing today, and then for this week, creating the awareness on these antibiotics. We made mention of how we can advocate it, whether through training, symposiums, workshops, conferences, or whatever. But as to how these things will be founded, what I can recall is he said at the FAO, and I think in the delivery of Dr. Bashir Boi Kikimoto, he has made mention it, that we can write to them, and then they will also have some funds for us to do more advocates on these things. So basically, these are some of the things that we discussed in Zambia.
Okay. Benjamin, thank you for your brief report from the Zambian Antimicrobial Resistance Conference that you participated in. Now, before we finish, I will do my summary presentation. We have normally 10 minutes, and that is about the rest of the activities we have to do for the week. You know, this Zoom, keynote Zoom, is one of the key things we are supposed to do, but there are other community Zooms that will go on. So please continue your community Zooms that you are doing. If there are community radio programs you are doing, TV programs, do them. Together with the national ones, we are also doing, so everybody sees it. And then remember that we are emphasizing alternative media, traditional media, local media, but because of digitalization, we want everything you do to be videoed. So we have also said that people should individually share their stories, their experiences, storytelling. Storytelling is one of our traditional media, which is part of our culture. So we tell our stories, but this time the stories will selfie the video by somebody helping us or we ourselves recording our experiences with antibiotics, antimicrobials, antimicrobial resistance, the good way we have used them, the bad ways we have used them. Raw video of your experiences. Tell us what you have been doing and its effect, its experiences, right? So that is it. And then if there are group discussions at the trees, in the church house, in the classrooms, if the school spaces are available or wherever you do group discussions on these issues, we have to thank you very much again for all these efforts. And we hope that when we call on you, you will come. And remember, we also have from 25th to a series of, and these include report from our participation in COP27. We have to share a report to you what happened there, how that relates to us as farmers. And then also there was our participation in the PAFU-led Young Farmers Forum in Rwanda. That again, 80% of our members are young farmers. So those of you who went will report in series of Zoom. So when we bring the links, make sure, as always, you also participate in this. And then we will call on you when we are developing proposals for building your capacity, skills, capacity, knowledge, right? In how you will do bottom-up advocacy and communication. When we ask you for your ideas, we hope that you will come on board and give us. So between now and the end of the year, these activities will be there. And as you have always been doing, please continue to cooperate. Thanks very much. And this is where we bring the curtain on our program, which is actually a minute or so to the end of the 1 hour that we have allocated ourselves. If there are any questions, comments, put them on the various platforms, our platforms, WhatsApp platforms. You can also send some to me, send some to the executive